Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
And good morning, everybody. What a beautiful day we have here in Chautauqua County. Let me get this tie in a straight position because I've got to be neat and straight here. A friend of mine used to say, nobody believes anything you say unless you're wearing a shirt and tie. All right, we got a lot of funny stuff going on. The snow's coming back down, and we're going to have a great guest coming up. We've got Jim Subjack, the very venerable district attorney for many years here in Chautauqua County, and a knowledgeable man on everything having to do with seniors. He does a lot of senior elder care, as we say, and he's a very busy guy, and he gave his Saturday morning up to come here, and he'll be with us just a few minutes. Lots of other news. Can't stand watching TV anymore. The news is so tragic. And now it's all school shootings. I guess they're kind of setting up for some more gun control laws because there's so many nuts out there who aren't getting supposedly the psychiatric care they need. All right, so we move on. We have a lot of senior centers here which make everything good for us. And I just want to mention a couple. Fredonia Place, and I want to thank them for a grant. They gave us a generous grant. Fredonia Place takes care of seniors. They have a regular senior apartments that are lovely over there. They have luxury, as a matter of fact. Then they have apartments for seniors that need special care, who are even may have Alzheimer's. They have all sorts of quarters for people, senior citizens, at Fredonia Place. And thank you for your generous grant, Fredonia Place. And Ed Krause, or Greg Krause over there, I thank you, doing the job. Nancy Crandall over at the Dunkirk Senior Center tells us that, let me put the cheaters on here. You know, at my age, I need these things. They're having Big Bingo January 22nd. Now, Big Bingo is the prizes are bigger, we'll put it that way. And the first 60 people following bingo at 5 p.m. will get dinner. You're encouraged to come over and play Pinochle. They have a big Pinochle game going on over there. Badges is the head over there, and she tells us that there's a complimentary Super Bowl luncheon coming up. Now that sounds like fun. It'll be Tuesday, January 21st. Oh no, that's a different game. That's a different thing. It's Friday, January 31st, and we can't miss the Super Bowl. Incidentally, don't miss that. It's always fun. Blue Cross Blue Shield are coming over January 21st from 10 to 12 to talk about their insurance and any other insurance questions you may have. Seniors, of course, are quite involved in insurance, and it's complicated. You have several different factors entering into it. You have the Part D, I might add, under your Medicare, which covers medications, and it's complicated. It's pretty hard for me to figure out what's going on, that's for sure. So I just have to call in every time I have a question and ask them. They're taking a shopping trip to the Batavia Downs in the market in the square in April. You might want to check into that. And they're going to, in May, the Dunker crowd gets around. They're going to a trip to Allegheny to attend a performance by the Osmonds. Osmonds, who are they? Only the older guys know that. Okay, August 24th, trip to Atlantic City for 4 days and nights is planned. Accommodations at the Resorts Hotel, and $50. Big deal. Down payment of $50. All right. Get that in if you're interested. If you want to follow up on that Atlantic City trip for 4 days and 3 nights, sounds like fun, especially people that like to roll them. 366-7530, 366-7530. Potluck dinner coming up for March 17th. You know what that date is, of course. You know they're going to have corned beef and cabbage for sure. Silver Creek Seniors, I got a note or two about them. They always, Lori Newman and Janice Snyder were asked to bring the birthday cakes for the next week. They're going to have a big birthday party for everybody. Winners of the drawing door prize, Fred Sikorsky, Grape Belt Seniors, yoga classes every Friday at 10:30 for the next 2 months. If you like yoga, get out there and yoga away, huh? Traveling coming up, they're going to New York City in June. The Hotel Edison they'll be staying at, which was built in 1931, Art Deco style, you know. And they'll stop at St. Patrick's Cathedral and Times Square and all the wonderful things in New York. That's going to be a great trip. So check them out on that. That's, I'll tell you, the Great Belt crowd, they do a lot of stuff. One-day trips to the casinos, the Seneca Niagara Casino on April 15th. Real low rates, they tell you. Well, usually the rates are just about free because they give you chips. They'll give you a part of say the cost $25, you get $20 worth of tips, and you get a chip for dinner. You can't beat it, you know. Want to knit, crochet? 10 o'clock, January 22nd. And get in there and start knitting. Lakeshore Senior Citizens, very active crowd. Prior to the weekly meeting, they had an emergency preparedness talk. It was a program by the American Red Cross of Southwestern New York, and they talked about disaster relief, and the more important things were, what would you do if there is some kind of emergency, and you never know what it might be. Well, they tell you to make a kit. I don't know what you put in the kit exactly, but I'm sure there's a flashlight, maybe some food, dried food or something. Have a plan and stay informed, and the way you do that is you make sure you have a working portable radio so you can click it on and find out what's happening around you. Meeting was opened by Stella Michalak, who is the president there and does the job. New officers, Stella Michalak, president, Irene Christopher, vice. Irene Christopher has been there forever, does all kinds of work, also particularly into cancer, breast cancer. She talks about that and is very, very knowledgeable. A lot of elderly women have that problem, you know, as well as men who have that little problem down in the Vaz area. Senior Citizens Rummer Sale coming up. It'll be January 29th. And happy birthday to Sandra Tapasto, Dorothy Kornacki, Barbara Babarich, and Betty Grzinowski. Next meeting Wednesday, January 29th. Lady of Mount Carmel, 50-50 bingo is enjoyed by all after all their meetings, and they have a great time. Father Mark gives a prayer. What a bunch, Sinclairville. Quick note to Sinclairville seniors, prepare lunches, I might add. They meet at the Sinclairville Fire Hall. Thank you, fire department, firemen, fire ladies, firefighters. They also meet in they usually meet in their dining room, and they have a nice lunch, and it's just, everybody brings a dish to share their silverware and stuff. Margie McIntyre, welcome all to the luncheon. All right. One or two other notes here. They're going to have the annual dues will be collected at the February meeting. Members, start preparing for your annual dues, which can be as high as $5. Next meeting, February 11th, noon, at the Fire Hall, Sinclairville Fire Hall dining room, and it's going to be stone soup. Remember stone soup, guys? Yeah, you take a pot of water, and you throw a stone into it, and everybody brings something. Somebody brings some onions, somebody brings some stew meat, and they throw it in, and you get this wonderful big stone soup, which is composed of everything anybody wants to bring. I've got a special public service announcement for you, and then we'll talk to John, who is back from sunny Arizona, Indian Territory. This is for you.
Westfield Mayville Rotary Club for the past 16 years, and I currently serve as the club treasurer. My occupation is the Deputy Chief Clerk of the Chautauqua County Family Court. What makes Rotary so special to me is the opportunity to work with the young people through the Brockton Interact Club. As a club co-advisor, I'm able to teach our youth the importance of serving others through community service. Our youth today do want to help others if given the opportunity. Last year, the Brockton Interact Club performed 14 community service projects. Our Rotary Club knows our youth are the most important assets. We recognize our students through our Student of the Month program and through our Rotary Scholarship Awards. Rotary is a wonderful service organization whose motto is service above self. For more information, please call the number below. Thank you. I'm a Rotarian.
Another Rotarian right here. He shoots from the hip incident. His name is John, and we call him Doc. You're on, Doc.
Good morning, everybody. And I was in Arizona, but I was mostly in Nevada. Just as a little.
At Vegas?
Vegas is in Nevada. But because I went to the Hoover Dam, I did walk across the bridge, and believe it or not, you go from Nevada to Arizona and back again. I was at 2 o'clock in, where was I? In Arizona, no, Nevada, and 3 o'clock in Arizona, or something like that. We kept walking back and forth. I said, what time is it? Well, it's good to be back, and the last time I talked to you, you were sick. You looking better?
Well, you came and did a great show.
Well, it was easy. We had a great guest.
As I told you, secretly I wasn't really sick. I just want to stay in bed.
Well, today would have been a good day to stay in bed. Wow, it's 10 degrees in Ripley anyways.
10 degrees, holy mackerel.
We're all talking about the slipping and sliding to get here, holy mackerel.
Well, it's 18 over in Westfield anyway.
All right, next time I guess I was going to have to pull Jim up the hill here.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim.
Morning.
You know what, Reed? This guy is a master at a video game that we all play called Candy Crush. He's like the master guru. I'm like way back in the whole system, and I don't know how he's doing it. He must have some political ties in the system.
I have to use Facebook for something.
Well, anyways, Reed, I have a few things I want to share, and then just a couple of comments. A fellow that's been doing some nice work in the county. His name is Niles Denning. I don't know if you know Niles. He's a photographer, and he's got a show at the Prendergast Library called Poet with a Lens. And the reason why I bring it up is because I found out yours truly and Bill, my partner, we are part of the show. He evidently shot us and did some kind of a stylized copy of what he shot of us, and it's in the exhibit. So I've never been in an art show before, so that's kind of neat. Something brand new, and it's right here in the area. 21 Bricks. I've never been there, but I've passed it a number of times.
It's out on Route 20, right?
Route 20 in Westfield. I guess it's
Somewhere
still technically in Westfield.
Yeah.
January 25th, next week, Saturday. Bill and I are playing up there from 7 to 9. And the reason why I mention it, it's just something to do. Get out. You know, lots of times people say, there's nothing to do in Chautauqua County.
Is there any cost? Can you?
The only cost is they ask you to buy a bottle of wine and bring your own food. So it's a BYOF, bring your own food. Now, instead of bring your own bottle, and so they encourage you to come out, have some fun. We'll be playing Irish music.
What time again?
7 to 9 in the evening.
What day?
The 25th, Saturday.
That's
So,
this coming
a week from
Saturday.
today.
A week from this.
So I'll mention again. And as I mentioned, Barb and I went to Vegas, and the reason why I bring this up is because I know a lot of folks say, "Oh, I wish I did this, or I wish I did that," or you get to a certain point in life and you start looking back and say, I regret that I didn't do this.
Your bucket list.
The bucket list, exactly. And so this past weekend was one of those bucket list things, not my bucket list, but my wife's bucket list. And forever she's been saying, if I would just love to go see this person in concert. All the people I want to see in concert have died from drugs. They're gone, or were shot, or killed, or something or other, or they cost.
It's a hazardous
Or
bit.
it costs like a small fortune just to get the nosebleed section tickets. But anyways, we went to see Celine Dion at Caesar's Palace. And yeah, it costs a little bit of money, but come on, people, save up your money and do something, go crazy once in a while. And my wife summarized it in one word. And Barbie is kind of a quiet person, and she said, fabulous.
Oh.
And Celine Dion was all that, just fabulous.
Did you sing the Titanic song?
Oh, yeah, that was her closer, and it just, I tell you, the goosebumps went right up my arm, the lights, and I mean, if you haven't done something like this, put it on your bucket list before you leave this world
Before
and
you
do
kick
something
it.
fun. Now, on my bucket list was to go see the Pawn Stars pawn shop in Vegas, so we hopped a bus and we went out there, and as I was telling Randy earlier, it's a pawn shop. And if you read the reviews, it's exactly what it is. It's a pawn shop, but that's where they film everything. And it's
Was anybody there?
Some of the workers were there that I recognized that, sometimes you see, but the main four weren't there.
That big guy was there, probably.
Chumley?
No, the big guy who sidles up.
I know who you mean, the guy at the door. No, he wasn't there. I got through the door okay, because I don't
He's
think
about
I could
7 feet tall.
I could have passed him.
He must weigh 300 or 400 pounds.
reminds me of,
when there's a lot of shouting going on, he sidles up and behind the shouter.
Yeah, he's a big boy. Well, anyways, but that was fun. It didn't cost anything to go there and so on. But the one thing that we did do that was a side trip, and when you go on cruises, a lot of times you do side trips. Well, this was a side trip for us, which sort of was on our bucket list, was just go to the Hoover Dam. My gosh, what a work of architecture and engineering. I was duly impressed. It was really, really cool.
This is the one you were walking across.
This is the one I was walking across the top of the bridge. You can walk right there.
And you're in one state on one side?
One state on one side, one time zone on the other. And we took a tour, went down and saw the turbines and all that thing. It doesn't sound exactly like, really exciting for some folks. But when you're there, it's really cool to see how they dammed up the Colorado River, which created Lake Mead, and just the mountains and the landscape. I mean, there's no trees there or anything. It's just totally like desert and mountainous and stuff. But it's really, really cool because it looks so different than what we're used to out here. And then my last little point of information I was going to share with everyone, and Reed's always telling you about this when you go to casinos. They give you the $20 to throw in there, and then leave.
Get out.
Right? Leave. But I wanted to say something that I've noticed. We've been to Vegas 3 times now for various reasons, and the one thing I've noticed that you got to be careful, and I don't know if this is happening at the other casinos, is that the quarter machines are disappearing, the dollar machines are hard to find, the penny machines are everywhere. And I asked about this. I said, what's with the penny machines? And they did a study, and they said that people will spend more money on penny machines than they would of the other machines.
You're kidding.
No, because what you do is you throw in $1 or a couple dollars, you get your couple hundred credits, and then it says, bet the maximum, which is like $1.50, and you don't even realize it, okay? But you're doing pennies. You're in the penny machine, and it, and so it's all psychological. So anyways, if you go to Vegas, have fun, go to the buffets, get your bucket list fulfilled, and just have a lot of fun. But, I left $6 there.
Oh my God.
I'm cheap. I don't gamble. But we had a great time. So it's good to be back, and good to see everybody, and I hope everybody's doing well out there.
Good to have you back. You're an old school administrator. What's that thing that comes up March 1st people should always remember? For their tax break for school?
Oh, you mean the Star?
Star.
Yeah.
Don't
That should have been. For this coming year.
For the coming year.
Right. I was just thinking about the past year.
There's a special break for seniors.
Right.
And you got to get it in by March March 1st.
Yeah, let's keep reminding them about that.
Yeah, okay.
Because there's a two-tier. There's a regular star, and then there's the
Yeah, and
advanced
you
star.
want that superstar.
Right.
March
Super
1st,
duper,
you've
yeah.
got to get it in. You've got to go down to your tax collector and talk to her.
All right, well, I'm going man the phones because I already got a call. Jim's got a call that somebody was going to ask a question, so he's a popular guy. So I told her to call back at 20 after, so I'm going to scoot. So I'll see you later. Bye.
Okay, thanks a lot. John Hamill's doing the job. Jim Subjack doing the job here. What's that?
It was nice to see John again.
Yeah.
I have a phone call. I haven't even spoken
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, well, they want some they want some legal advice.
Okay, sure.
Remember, whenever we have Jim with us, he gives you a full legal advice, appraises your problem, again, and tells you what to do about it, and it's all solved just like that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Jim, you're on.
Is there a call?
Yeah, is there a call
Seriously,
out
there
there?
is?
Caller, you on? Okay, hello, caller.
Hello. I'm wondering why Chautauqua County doesn't participate in the senior program that pays family members for taking care of their loved ones.
I assume it's a matter of finance. You know, every program that is administered by any agency always has to always has a cost involved. I don't know
Correct.
if it's an issue of they didn't set the funds aside, they don't want to set the funds aside. What you need to do is contact local and county-wide politicians to push it as hard as you can. Talk to your state people as well. They're always accessible to you and others of the community. Let them know that it's a very important program. And when you think about it, not just important from the sense of the economic standpoint for you being able to save a lot of money not having to produce and provide outside care, but it also maintains the family relationship, which unfortunately oftentimes seems to disappear once we have a situation where care is necessary and the care is provided by an outside agency or individual. So I think it's beneficial in many ways. I think it's a program that should be adopted. And again, contact your politicians. They're always willing to hear you. Whether or not they're willing to act upon your request, I certainly can't answer, but I would tell you, go ahead, push for it, get others to push for it. It's a great program. It's beneficial to everyone, the person receiving the care, the people receiving the care, the people administering the care. I mean, to me, a no-lose situation.
Yeah, and you're saving the county a real bunch of money.
yeah,
by
ultimately
taking
you
care
are.
of
That's
your
correct.
loved one, and I do the same right now. I understand it. It's a lot of strain, a lot of hard work, and it's frustrating, and you cannot go back to work as long as you're caring for somebody, so they certainly should be able to take care of you.
Right.
Right. That's. I know other communities or other
Counties, right.
counties are in this area do that, and I was wondering why Chautauqua didn't, because where are the funds going to? The main portion of our funds going that they can't afford to do it in this program.
Well, I think Reed hit it on the head, which is, when you think about it, the initial outlay would be more to have it done through a family provider, but ultimately, in the end, it's actually more expensive because the state, I believe, only reimburses us for 50% of our Medicaid costs. And so you lose a lot of money at the end because the outside providers don't come free that I'm aware of. Now, if you find one,
no,
let
they
me
don't.
know.
They come very highly.
Very expensively, that's
I know.
correct. And the initial outlay by the county may not be as much, but ultimately, when the books are balanced, presumably balanced, but when the books are adjusted at the end of the year, the ultimate cost has got to be substantially more financially, but like I said also, personally. I think it's a great situation if they would help us, if we could maintain family relationships, provide a higher level of care.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think it's just a great idea, but again, I think you need to push some politicians to recognize that it needs to be done.
Do you go to the state level then? Is
I'd
that
go
where the
start
problem
from the
lays, or
state.
is it federal?
I'd start from the state and work down. I don't know if you live in a township, a village, or a city, but
Chautauqua County,
okay,
township.
but in the township, I'd contact your town officials as well. While they have no direct say in how it occurs, if it occurs, when it occurs, they certainly can put pressure on their representatives, their town representatives, and then perhaps ultimately the state representatives to say, hey, look, this is a good program, why don't you do it? And politicians are animals of self-preservation. I mean, let's face it, almost every politician, I hate to say this, but almost every politician has at least at the back of his or her mind being reelected. And being reelected is a function of, number one, doing your job well, but to serve your constituency as well.
Yeah, well-
So if you serve your constituency and you do your job well, you should never have any problems being reelected. And if you take it to the town level, and again, if you live in a village, the village level, if you have a city that you live in, take it to the city level. They can't directly affect what happens, but they can certainly indirectly put pressure on as well.
And your county legislator counts heavily.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I said
Get in
that
touch
if
with
they,
your county.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
right. Get in touch with the politicians.
Right.
And,
Politicians drive all of it.
county legislator, get on her case immediately. And could you imagine what would happen to this county if all the people doing this very hard, burdensome job, and being not being paid for it, at least compensated to a degree,
Right.
because they could be working and earning money. What if we all went on strike? Said, all right, county, you're on.
Yep, it's up
And
to you.
take over about 500 people that are all in need of critical care. There you go.
And that ultimately could happen. So
Well,
it's
I
not
underst-
a
I
far-fetched
understand that,
idea.
but sometimes it's a better route to take because then people understand what it really takes to do that.
Absolutely. Thank you, caller. That's
Thank
a
you very much.
very
That's
important
and that's
point.
a terrific point to raise. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget March 1st. No, you're 65. You're not quite.
I'll be 65 next month.
Okay, then good. You qualify.
Yeah, but now what people need to understand, it's not just for seniors, it's for everybody.
All
If you
right.
don't know, and you should have been notified by the state, and you should have been hopefully notified by local representatives. But all of those that have had STAR on their home since the inception of the program lost it at the end of last year. It doesn't matter if you were a senior or not. If you're a homeowner and you reside within your home, you lost your STAR last year. Unfortunately, a lot of people, which is why they extended the deadline to March 1st, but a lot of people did not re-up for STAR, and what's going to happen is you're going to get your school tax bill in September, and you're going to look at it and go, oh my God, I didn't know my school taxes went up that much. Well, they didn't go up that much. What happened is you lost a very critical deduction, for lack of a better term, that the state provides. It's an incentive. There's a lot of reasons behind STAR, but it directly affects you and it directly benefits you, but you need to actually sign up for it. It's not enough to know that you were a member or had been signed up for STAR, that you were receiving STAR. That's not enough anymore. You have to re-sign. You can do it on the internet. It's a very simple process. I'm about as technologically challenged as they come, and it took me about 2 minutes to re-up for STAR.
There you go, caller. Somebody asked about that. The STAR is very important. It'll save you a bunch, especially.
It does.
Especially if you're a senior over 65, you get the Super
Enhanced STAR, right.
Enhanced STAR, and it could reduce your taxes to nothing, just about. I mean, your school tax.
Right.
And the reason they do this, as you said, for a number of reasons, is the collection of school taxes was ruled some 30 years ago as unconstitutional if you put it on your local taxpayer house, your house taxes, your home taxes. Your local real estate taxes, as they say.
Yeah, it's probably the least popular of the taxes. Not that any tax is popular, but it's
that's
probably the least popular because there's some people that have never had children that have gone through the school district. Now, for example, my kids went through the Jamestown School District, and I paid Jamestown school taxes when I was there. When we moved to Fredonia in 2000, it would have been, it doesn't matter, but it was 1995. Or 2005. When we moved to Fredonia in 2005, my children were already out of school, so I paid a ton of money in school taxes for a service that I have never directly received. Well, that's part of the burden and responsibility of being a homeowner, but that is what makes it so unpopular, is that you're providing a service that you've never used or never will use.
Yes, and the worst part is that some communities are very wealthy, and they can put a lot of dough into
Right.
it and super educate their kids, and the poor communities haven't
Can't
got
do
the
it.
money, which is why, based on local real estate, it's probably unconstitutional. So at least they're trying to take part of
Right.
that out.
Take the sting away.
The bite out of it, yeah, with the STAR program, which does return part of that money.
And it's kind of the greasy wheel thing. If the wheel isn't squeaking, you don't have to grease it because nobody's complaining about it. So whether or not it's constitutional, whether or not the Court of Appeals would ultimately rule that school taxes are fine or not fine in their present form, if nobody complains about it, nobody's going to bring a lawsuit and nothing is going to be raised. And the state providing the STAR relief goes a long way to keep that from happening.
Yeah.
It is, by the way, about 10 degrees. That's what it was in the hills. It's nasty out there. Now, unless the forecast has changed, I thought Tuesday was supposed to be the cold day. I can't even imagine what that's going to be like.
Well, friends, don't forget, you can save your pipes very simply. They will freeze. If you don't, do the following. Run the water. Let the pipes continue to run just a little bit. Turn your water on, your faucets on, both hot and cold, on all your spigots. And the water will continue to run in the pipe, and when it's running a little bit, it will not freeze. I'm not saying turn it on hard, just a dribble is all you need.
As long as it keeps circulating.
Right.
And if they do freeze, call a plumber. I know plumbers aren't cheap, but nobody's cheap anymore. Call a plumber. Trying to do it yourself leads to disastrous fires like we had not too long ago, where the guy tried to thaw the pipes and use some type of heater, and he set his house on fire.
I know a close relative that does buffets. He's a caterer. You just move over here a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Then they can get closer to us. He's a caterer, and he has cartons of Sterno. He went down in the cellar and lit them all. He says it was a roaring inferno in
I'll
there.
bet it was.
It was nice and warm, and the pipes did thaw out. And I had one very minor pipe problem, and it's a dribble. And I called the plumber and he said, it's your washing machine. And I checked the washing machine. Sure enough, there's a faucet there that needs to be repacked. It hasn't been packed for probably a century. My house is 2 centuries old.
Okay.
And it's the oldest house in Westfield. So, and repacking is so simple. You just undo a little nut, wind some packing on around the stem, and put it back in and tighten it up, and that's it. You'll never have another leak squirting out of your faucet anyway.
Reed, there's one minor warning I'd like to give everybody that
Okay.
uses the internet as well. I said I am technologically challenged, but I do use the internet, and in particular, I use email. And I don't know why, and I'm not sure what the purpose is other than somebody is an evil person, but people are starting to get notices from the Unified Court System, which is what runs the courts in New York State. It looks official, it has the state seal, it says the Unified Court System, and it's a notice to appear. Well, most people would understand if they have matters pending in court, whether they're being sued or suing in civil court, or they're a criminal defendant. They understand, hey, I don't have a speeding ticket, I haven't been arrested for anything, I'm not in a lawsuit, this doesn't apply to me. But most people look at it and think, oh no, I just got jury duty. So what it requires you to do is to open the notice to appear. Well, the notice to appear really isn't from the Unified Court System, it's a virus. And again, I don't know that there's anything that steals information from you. I don't think they've gotten that far in determining what it is, but the virus is going to infect your computer for sure, that we know, and that's expensive to undo, and it's possible that it destroys the information you've got on your computer, conceivably destroys the hard drive on your computer. It can be an expensive and a very frustrating process. So if you get a notice by email from the Unified Court System, it's likely a scam. Now, if you have matters pending there, check to see if it comes from the local agency. If you're in Supreme Court in Mayville, see if it's addressed Supreme Court from Mayville. If it's Unified Court System in Albany, it's a scam. There's no reason the Unified Court System in Albany would be contacting somebody from Chautauqua County who's just a plain everyday citizen.
There you go, guys. There's all kinds of scams.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's again terrible.
Yeah, we just can't keep up with them. You solve one, you warn of somebody, and then they do another one. Look at the Target thing. I mean, that's scary.
Well, look at you'd mentioned you use a certain group. Everybody uses it, and I used it the other day. And I put in. I was looking for something to do with. I don't know what it was. It was just some minor thing. Boom! The next time I went in, there's an ad for it.
Yep.
It's and I suspect they're actually in there, basically checking my my stuff in my computer.
Of course they are.
They've got a virus in there that they've already put in there. Facebook.
There's a name for
Facebook.
that. But there's a name for that, and I can't think of what it is. But like I said,
Trojan?
But whatever it is, that happens. You've got to be careful with your internet usage. And I guess as a general rule, if you get an email from somebody that you've never heard of and it says something like "hello," oh, you want to see who's saying hello to you? Well, it's a virus that wants to say hello to you.
Say goodbye.
It's some type of malware. Don't even open it.
Right.
Just delete it.
Yeah, goodbye.
If they need to get a hold of you, if it's a person that's legitimate and they need to get a hold of you, they will.
And they'll identify themselves.
That's correct.
I keep getting these messages from people I never heard of all over the world.
Oh, so do I. I haven't been solicited by anybody from Nigeria who's going to give me $1 million.
Oh, I get that all the time.
Yeah, I haven't had that in a while, but if I give them my bank account, they'll give me $1 million, but I can keep 200,000 after I send the 800,000 back. Yeah, oh yeah, that'll happen.
Sure.
So anyway, I mean, there's scams everywhere. You shouldn't guide your entire life by thinking everybody's trying to scam you. It's just, again, a question of be careful.
It's a scamorama.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
it is.
The internet is becoming dangerous in terms of your money.
And depending on what you've used, you've probably in some data bank down at NSA, National Security Agency.
Yeah.
Well, they've certainly mined a lot of information.
At least Obama is changing the action there.
Yes.
He's going to continue checking every one of us all the time and record everything anyway. It's not going to help us in the slightest. We're under the scrutiny. We've got them up our you-know-what. And however he's going to stop checking Merkel's, the German chancellor, and the French president's email and so forth, which they already have a bug in for. Outrageous!
Yeah.
We do have the Fourth Amendment. Privacy. Where's your privacy when they're doing this to you?
Where's the court order directing it? Now, I understand if a judge who issues the warrant for eavesdropping or for searching or looking for records has made a determination based upon information provided to he or she that this information is required for national security, and there's some nexus to that information and the actual national security, then I have no problem at all with the judge signing that document and the search being conducted. But as far as just blanketly seizing information, sifting through it and storing it, most of that information has nothing to do with national security
As a matter of
whatsoever.
fact, it was some of the specialists and people involved said that it doesn't prevent any problems. It doesn't help national security in the slightest.
Well, they don't have enough people to go through all that, to mine all that information, to
Yeah.
go through it to see if it's helping us or not. Like I said, there's definitely people out there that are out to get us. I don't think there's any question about that. And those people need to be stopped. Those people need to be stopped by whatever legal means are available to law enforcement and those doing the investigation. But I've never issued a terroristic threat, don't expect I ever will, and that's probably the case with 99.99999% of the population of the United States.
Neither have I.
Yeah,
Facebook's on to me already.
So there's really no reason for them to be gathering my information.
Yeah.
They're not going to find anything in it. There's no kiddie porn on mine. There's no links to the Taliban. There's nothing like that. Like John said, I use Facebook to play Candy Crush, and I occasionally do a political post. I just did one, for example, the bridge scandal. I just did one, and I said, what's the big deal? You know what's going to happen. We're going to spend, or the government's going to spend millions of dollars to investigate it. Bridget Kelly, who was the deputy chief of staff of Governor Christie, is going to say under oath that she did it. Governor Christie had no knowledge whatsoever that he had any knowledge of it. And she's then, after the investigation is closed, going to get some fat cat hire her
For big money.
big bucks to be a consultant.
Right.
And then it's just politics as usual.
Yep. Yes. It's incomprehensible that this man, who has a tight rein over everything, very close to all his staff, didn't know a thing about it.
Right.
They didn't even tell him. Hey, we got a call. Caller, you're on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to
What's up?
let you keep talking about this because it's interesting. However, I do have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
And that is, at what point and how do you go about if you have an older parent, such as me and some other people, but I believe I'm still within full, I have all my capabilities
Don't be sure.
about me. Yeah, I know. It may take me a little longer to dig them out, but they're there.
Physically, it certainly takes us all a lot longer than it used to.
However, at what point do you know, or do you begin to give some of the reins to, your children or someone who's in charge of your affairs?
It's a very difficult assessment that needs to be made. And what you really need to do, because when you think about it, 99% plus a lot of nines after that, of the people that begin to lose some of their abilities, it's not like you have full abilities on Monday and on Tuesday you're down to 50%, and on Tuesday you have none, or Wednesday you have none. It's a very gradual decline, and you won't really notice that the decline has taken place. Everybody notices, for example, as they age, that their memory seems to slip a little bit. That's a natural part of aging. That doesn't mean you have lost your ability to reason or your ability to think. So if you don't remember somebody's name that you met 30 years ago, well, you know, that's not the worst thing that can happen. Sometimes, even when I was young, I don't recognize or remember somebody's name that I met 30 minutes before.
I'll tell you the secret.
Go ahead.
You go through the alphabet. You go A in your mind. Don't do it out loud, because then they'll think you're crazy. A,
Yeah.
B, C.
And it comes up.
usually you'll come,
Yeah.
not 100%, but usually it'll come up.
But getting back to your question, I think what you need to do is listen to those around you, and to the point where if you've got trusted confidants, you know, a longtime friend, a longtime relative, a brother or a sister, even your children, presuming they're not after your
Estate.
yeah. But all that, and just say, hey, look, have you noticed that I have been slower lately? I'm doing this lately, doing that lately. And if I get to that point, would you tell me that I need some assistance before it gets to a point where a court is going to force it? And if you do that, and of course you have to agree with that assessment when they give it to you, but if your sister, for example, were to say, you know, Mary, you really can't handle your affairs by yourself, you need some help, why don't you give your son, Tom, a power of attorney to let him take care of your financial affairs so you don't miss your payments, you don't risk utility shutdowns, you don't risk losing your house or your car, or things like that. And if you're willing to listen to that advice, then by all means accept it when it happens. If you have nobody like that, I'm hopeful that you go to a physician or the people go to a physician on a regular basis. I'm not talking about daily, but presuming you have a semi-annual or annual checkup, the doctor should be able to tell you, you know, Mary, you're not quite where you used to be. You might want to think about getting some help here. And if the doctor says that, they're getting paid a lot of money from either you, your insurance, or a combination thereof. To make that diagnosis, you need to accept that recommendation and start to look for somebody to give you help. And again, it's not a process that happens overnight, usually, and it's something that you don't necessarily recognize. This is actually a terrific question. It's not something you recognize on your own because it's such a gradual process that you really need to listen to others. If you have Alzheimer's, and you're in the early stages, at that point, once you've received that diagnosis, you really need to, before you lose your cognitive functions, take care of those affairs. Because once you've lost the cognitive functions, it's really too late.
That's very true. Okay, thank you for
You're
your
welcome.
advice.
Thanks for the
Very
call.
good.
Yeah,
Okay, bye-bye.
A friend
Bye.
of mine said, I know I'm finished, and you can off me now when I can't wipe myself anymore.
Well,
That's the underline.
yeah. That certainly would be an indication. Oh, my.
We're having a nice chat here with Jim Subjack, one-time DA of many years of Chautauqua County,
It was fun.
and he retired and started making some real money.
That's correct.
And it has an office over in Fredonia, right across from the park, right?
Literally right across from the park.
And if you need any enhancement, or you want him to tell you more about anything he talks about during this program, you can always check in. He's in the phone book.
As you can tell, Reed and I don't know if anybody knows this, but Reed and I have never scripted a program since I've been on it. And I'm guessing that I've been on 50 or 60 times since I
Probably one of
started.
the more than any other.
Yeah,
people
and
have.
I mean, we just go with the flow, and we're prepared to talk about anything. Well, not anything. I can't give you a recipe for chicken soup, but we can talk about just about anything. So if you've got something that's troubling you or you want to vent, please, by all means, feel free to do so.
Yeah, you can call right in here, and our number's easy to remember. It's 753-JACK, like jack your phone in.
Oh.
And we have a couple of calls. So let's take
Yeah,
them,
let's
huh?
take the calls.
All right, good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
Good morning to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's up?
Question. Many of us are the sandwich generation where we're taking care of older parents, and we're sort of like the last caller. We are the ones that are asked to take care of their finances and so forth.
Right.
As someone is getting to the later part of their lives, and I don't want to pick an age, but let's say up into upper 90s, they've collected a certain amount of money and assets and so forth. Can you advise us on how we can advise them how to handle their pots of money in CDs and annuities and things like that. What do you do with those things?
You mean financially? What do you do with them?
They don't really need them, but because they've been good savers over the years, is there something that we should be telling them to begin to give the money away?
Well, it depends on the amount that there is. If it's what seems like a lot of money but really isn't a lot of money, if you divest them of all of their assets and they wind up in Medicaid, Medicaid's going to take it all back anyway.
No. I'm not thinking along those lines, but more than they probably need in some cases.
Well, what they can do and what they ought to think about doing is, and of course it depends on if they've got people that they are close to, but they can give gifts that are tax-free for them and for the recipient. So they can give actually cash gifts. So let's say there's $500,000 and there are, I'm going to round off the numbers here so I can do this mathematically in my head before the end of the show. But let's say there's $500,000 that's free and not subject to any Medicaid whatsoever. They're 95 years old. They're not going to be around that much longer. And there's 5 grandchildren. That's $100,000 for each grandchild eventually. And it's more than $10,000, but she can give $10,000 to each grandchild each year until the money runs out. It's a little more than that, by the way, but again, I can figure that part out. So that's something they can do. The estate tax, what I told you, the level I gave you, the $500,000, does not apply either state or federally. State's still $1 million, but there's movement afoot, and I think it's going to pass to raise it up to about $8 million, and that's net estate, so you don't have to worry about that. But again, there's no reason that the money should just sit there doing nothing when, in fact, perhaps the grandchild or the grandniece or the grandnephew could use the money, and the grandparent would actually, or grandaunt, would really like to give them some help. She can. So if she's of sound mind, that type of advice given to her might actually open a light, turn on a light, and have her say, hey, you know, that's really a good idea. Grandchild Tommy, grandchild Johnny, and grandchild Billy all really need some help. They're very appreciative. They've been very loyal, loving grandchildren. I'm going to help them when I can.
And your own children.
And of course your own children. But the best part about that is, while grandma still has the facilities to recognize what she's doing and to do it, she's going to get the personal satisfaction of knowing that she's helped her grandchild or her great nephew or whoever it might be. So that's really a good idea. And if there is that excess amount of money, you certainly have no restrictions other than the way she may react.
Okay.
No restrictions in telling her that, you know, there's a way to help people and at the same time keep you financially secure.
I'm not wealthy at all, but I have a few chips chapped away over the years. And I'm giving it to my children and grandchildren. And they say, first I gave them a gift, and they said, wow, Dad, are you okay? Are you sick? Are you dying?
Yeah.
What?
Why are you giving it all away now?
And I said, I much prefer to see smiles on your faces and
right,
enjoy it
while I can.
rather than be 6 foot under.
When I can't see a thing. Or in my case, when I'm turned to ashes, because I intend to be cremated,
Me
I hope.
too.
Yeah. But nonetheless, I mean, that's very important. I mean, when you think about it, when you're 97 years old, you're not running marathons usually. There's still, you read about people that do that, but it's so rare that that happens. Your activities are severely restricted from what they used to be, so your satisfaction is mostly going to be doing something for somebody else and having them have a positive reaction. So think of the personal satisfaction there would be by knowing you've helped somebody and be able to recognize that that's happened and get your own personal satisfaction from the satisfaction the recipient has received. It's a great idea. Again, the scary part is, and it's something that we always had to watch, law enforcement's always watched, I certainly watched it when I was DA, is the unscrupulous child or neighbor or friend who goes out there and bleeds them from all of their assets, and before you know it, they've taken everything. Unfortunately, sometimes it's gone to the casino, or it's gone to a racetrack, or it's gone to a bookie. So even if they're caught and punished, they don't have the ability to pay it back. So
don't lose the dough. Make sure you trust the person you put in charge of your money. And as I said, the best thing to do, I think, is give it away. Give it away.
If a stranger were to come to you and say, hey, look, and it's all of a sudden start to befriend you,
watch it.
Yeah, there's likely to be a motive. It's something that I've always said, which if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is.
Yeah.
And it deals that same way when somebody takes an unusual and keen interest in you that the day before or the week before they found out you had money wouldn't proverbially, well, I won't go there with that term I was going to use, but wouldn't normally pay any attention to you.
Right. Okay. I think Jim Subjack is pretty knowledgeable about these things, and he always tells us to get at least 3 documents in our safe deposit box, in our attorney's hands, and in the hands of one of our friends, family, or whoever's going to take care of our affairs. First one is power of attorney, durable.
Right. Durable power of attorney. As we get older, and as the population lives longer, used to be the old powers of attorney were available and you could use when the person was capable of doing that themselves. Well, durable power of attorney, and it's going to happen to people. It happened to my mother. You wind up with Alzheimer's disease. You can't physically take care or mentally take care of your affairs anymore. You might be physically relatively in good shape. The durable power of attorney allows your power of attorney to continue performing that function or those functions that you want them to, even though you're no longer mentally capable of doing so. Power of attorney expires upon death. So if, for example, you have the power of attorney over somebody's account, they died last night, you can't write a check today because the power of attorney legally no longer exists, and it certainly has no effect.
All right. The next thing is a will.
The will makes things much easier. Now, obviously, you really don't care after the fact because the will only takes effect after death. So what you want to do is straighten out your affairs and, you know, some of the little things. For example, I don't have a pen, but this tie, I'm a Civil War buff, so I'm wearing a Civil War tie today. I want my son, for example, to have the Civil War tie. The only way that my son, now this is obviously a ridiculous example, but the only way my son can be guaranteed to get my Civil War tie is if I put it in my will. It's called a specific bequest. You also direct certain things to occur. Now, do not direct, for example, your funeral plans in your will. You can do that, but your funeral plans or your disposition plans should be made known to others before your death, because it's not like somebody dies at noon and at 12:05 you're at a lawyer's office reading the will. That's television. That's fantasy. That doesn't happen. What might happen is for example, that there's a desire to be buried next to so-and-so in such cemetery. In the meantime, they don't know that. They cremate you, and all of a sudden it's well, there'd be no burial, or just the opposite. You want to be cremated, and they wind up spending a lot of money to have you buried. Then they read in the will those plans, so you don't want to do it that way either.
And you have little say about it because you don't own your body anymore.
That's right.
Your children do, and they do whatever they want.
Yeah,
with
they
you.
do. But don't put that in the will. If you have specific requirements or desires with regard to your ultimate disposition, whether it be cremation or burial or unburial of a certain fashion, let people know before you die, not after you die in a will.
You want the cannon shots, make sure it's set up. We got a couple of calls.
Okay, that's
one
fine.
anyway left. Good morning, caller.
Good
Thank
morning.
you for waiting.
Good morning, Jim. Good morning,
Hi.
Wayne. It's great that you're on the show this morning, Jim.
Morning.
This is Miss Spalding.
Oh, hey, Linda, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
What's the weather like in your travels to the station this morning?
Cold.
10 degrees.
Cold. 10 degrees in the hills, 11 degrees in Mayville. And
Yeah.
the roads are slippery. I tried to make it up the Academy Hill from Route 430, and I couldn't make it up. I had to back out and go back down. It's nasty out there.
Yeah,
It's slippery.
I don't like the bitter cold.
No, I don't either. What's scary is Tuesday I thought was supposed to be the cold day, and if today is 10, I can't even imagine what Tuesday's going to
Pipes
be.
Well,
froze.
about a week ago when we had that severe Arctic blast, it was 18 below on
Yeah.
my porch on that Tuesday morning. It
Yeah,
was.
wasn't that fun?
Yeah.
No, I don't like it.
I don't
They go
either.
Right
Yeah,
back to the polar bears.
Yeah, I don't like it
Well,
either.
there's a wind chill of 35 minus 35 degrees.
Well, if this is an indication of what Tuesday's going to be like, I think we're going to be there again.
Make sure
Yeah.
you run your water, Linda.
Oh yeah, I do.
Keep the water faucet on a little teeny bit.
Yeah, I know that.
Both pipes,
Yeah.
cold and hot.
Yeah.
So what's new?
Well, I just wanted to, call in and let everybody know that there are services with the Chautauqua County Office for the Aging, and we have a senior employment program. We have some slots opening up. Also, we have our free computer training in
Yeah.
Westfield at Patterson, at the Dunkirk Free Library, and the Jamestown Office for Aging.
Okay, great. Well, now, you realize, do you see the action out on the ice? They're having a big fishing contest today.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They're trying to catch the biggest fish.
Well, my favorite fish is perch.
That's what they
Mine
catch.
too.
Yeah.
That's what they catch. That's a teeny pike. That's a miniature pike.
Oh, they're delicious.
They
They're
are.
so sweet. Yeah,
Okay.
that's my favorite.
Yeah, they catch a lot of those on the ice. That's what they're out there for.
Well, I won't be going on the ice today. It's
No,
too
all
cold.
right.
No, it's too cold already.
Well, I wish all of you a great weekend. I'd like to give you the number for the Office for the Aging.
Please do.
It's 753-4471 for
That's-
all Office for Aging services.
Right in Mayville, so you can't go wrong. You get
No.
there, and somebody will take care of you. My favorite Greek person who appears on the show is over there. Mary Ann takes care of that.
Mary
Oh, yeah,
Ann,
okay.
yeah. It's her husband that's Greek, but
Well, she always claims that.
but she does lots of interesting things. She prepares wonderful Greek cuisine. Wonderful.
Greek by marriage.
Okay,
Right.
by infusion. Okay, well,
Right.
thank you very much, Linda.
Sort of
Have
like
a
being,
great week.
Yeah, you too.
sort of like being an
Right.
honorary Irish person on St.
St.
Patrick's
Patrick's
Day.
Day, right.
My middle name is Patrick, but that's as close to Irish as I get, other than my wife who's half Irish.
Well, I can say with great composure that Powers is like Smith in Ireland. We're all from Ireland, and you can tell we all look like little pixies.
Well, I'll tell you what, that corned beef and cabbage tradition is
Oh,
terrific.
yeah.
I just
Oh, yeah.
love it. Just love it.
Yeah, right. And that was probably started by some Jew down in New York, you know?
When you think about it, yeah.
Corned beef and
A little
cabbage.
brisket mixed
yeah,
in with some
right.
potato and cabbage, yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
That's
we're
great stuff, though.
closing off here with Jim Subjack. He's an attorney who does a lot of elder care, and he's going to tell you one more thing you need, and he has about 30 seconds to do it. You need a health care proxy.
Yeah, you do. There are times when you're not in a position to advise what needs to be done medically. And by the way, as part of that, it's called a living will, as far as the what happens to you should you be in a position where you cannot function at all and it doesn't look like you're ever going to recover and you're mentally non-existent, for lack of a better term. You need the healthcare proxy. The person needs to know, for example, your wishes and the healthcare proxy as to whether or not you want, for example, blood transfusions. I know there are certain religions that refuse blood transfusions. If that's the case, you need to put that in the healthcare proxy.
And a health proxy is somebody you choose
Yes.
who's supposed to know what you want.
And agrees with what you want. Because if, for example, you do have religious beliefs against transfusions, and the person says, well, I'm not going to honor that, well, that pretty much destroys the purpose of the healthcare proxy in the first place. Now, I'm certainly not going to recommend that nobody to get a transfusion that don't need it, but that's one of the things that you could put in a healthcare proxy. We're done. Reed, it's always Reed, it's always a pleasure. As always, it goes way too fast. I don't think we've ever had any open space or dead mics or anything when we're together, so it's always fun.
It's been great having you here, Jim, and you come back soon?
Anytime.
Well, great.
Thanks.
We can talk about all those other things that are out there, and as you notice, we don't talk about anything in particular.
Nope.
Anything comes up. I want to thank all the viewers out there who are helping out and listening and talking, and last caller, sorry we didn't get you, but we'll get to you next time. Jim will return. I want to thank special people who've done wonderful work here. Chuck Kelsey, Devin Taylor, Chris Burt, Randy Burt, Chris Ramaker, Jeff Zook, occasionally Don Zenz, and especially last but not the least, Doc John Hamels. Get out there and dance in the sun, whatever there may be. It's snowing right now, a little tiny bit, but just have a beautiful day no matter what you do. And keep the campfire going, keep your wood burner going, make sure that the gas is on, keep your house cozy and warm. May all that is proud and true and noble abide with you. I'm Reed Powers. Good show.
Yes.